morning, everyone, and welcome to Fox 29 News Now. You're looking at a snowy Bend Franklin Parkway. After an overnight system dropped several inches of snow across the area. Right now, we're going to take you out to day 2 of CPAC, where Vice President Mike Pence will be speaking shortly. Right now, Senator Ted Cruz is taking part in a discussion.
Let me say both good and bad. Let's start with the good. I do think with a Republican president, Republican majorities in both houses, I think we won some big victories the last 2 years. We shouldn't lose sight of those. We passed an historic tax cut, the biggest tax cut of a generation, that included, among other things, repealing the Obamacare individual mandate. We've repealed job-killing regulations, and we're seeing the lowest unemployment in 50 years. We're seeing wages going up. We're seeing the lowest African-American unemployment that has ever been recorded. We're seeing the lowest Hispanic unemployment that has ever been recorded, which is why the mainstream media won't cover those facts at all. I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
It's just getting warmed up.
As I said, there's good and bad. I'm going to talk about the good first. We've also seen strong constitutionalist judges confirmed. On foreign policy, we're in the middle of the biggest military rebuild since Ronald Reagan. We've moved our embassy to Jerusalem, and we pulled out of the Iranian nuclear deal. Those are big victories, and they're victories that as conservatives we should be grateful we were able to deliver on. Now, you asked quite rightly, why didn't we finish the job on immigration? Why didn't we build the wall? Why didn't we deliver on more promises? I agree with you. We should have done much more. And I can tell you, last summer, starting in August, I did a long presentation to Senate Republicans that said, look, if you look at history, unified control of the federal government, both houses of Congress and the presidency, it's exceptionally rare for Republicans. It has happened a total of 8 years since World War II. And I said that everyone recognizes there's a real chance we're going to lose at least one house of Congress in November. If that's true, I think at the time there were 183 days to go. And I entitled the presentation, Carpe Diem, seize the day. If we have 183 days left to legislate, let's do that. And what I urged is let's use vehicles that the Democrats can't filibuster. In particular, let's use something called budget reconciliation, which y'all will remember was the vehicle that we passed the tax cut on in 2017. What matters about reconciliation is it's immune from filibuster, so you can pass legislation and the Democrats can't stop it. And what I urged my colleagues, and I urged the president, I urged the vice president, I urged the administration, let's take up a budget reconciliation and let's build the wall, let's fund the wall, let's get it done. And I want you just to imagine, if they had taken that advice, if we had had that fight and you had seen Elizabeth Warren screaming on the Senate floor to stop it, Bernie Sanders pulling what little hair he has out of his head, in September or October, and it culminated with Republicans standing together, funding and building the wall, I'll tell you right now, Rich, I don't think we would have lost the House of Representatives.
So let's dig a little deeper, because I talked about how in the border fight you saw some foundational issues surfaced. And I think the one that really is deepest here is the question whether we should have borders and the question of the legitimacy of the nation and the nation state and of nationalism. And there's kind of a loose notion out there that nationalism is something the Prussians came up with, these jackbooted thugs. Well, really, in the Western world, the foundational nation, for the way we think about this, was ancient Israel. God said...
Welcome back to day 2 of CPAC in a little bit. In the meantime, President Trump is still hopeful that a nuclear agreement may emerge with North Korea, but that's after talks at a high-profile summit in Vietnam unexpectedly broke down. Fox News correspondent Doug Luzader has more from Washington on what may come next.
Well, there has been talk about a possible between the U.S. and North Korea, but there are some fundamental disagreements here over disarmament that will not be easy to resolve.
North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is still in Vietnam this morning, meeting with that country's president. But this is not playing out the way it was supposed to. And President Trump arrived back at the White House last night after the summit came to a surprising end. He tells Fox that there was a clear impasse.
But I wanted them to denuke, and they wouldn't do the full.
The atmospherics had seemed good. The two leaders clearly got along, but that has its limits.
He's a different kind of a guy, and I just said, look, this isn't going to be working. So I have a feeling something down the line will happen, and it'll happen. It'll be good.
U.S. officials say North Korea wanted almost full sanction relief for only a modest concession, closing a nuclear facility. But the North Koreans quickly called their own press conference, disputing that.
먼저 해제하라는 것입니다.
What we proposed was not the removal of all sanctions, but their partial removal.
Government press accounts in North Korea say there was remarkable progress at the summit. Back in the U.S., there was actually some relief among some of the president's harshest critics.
And really, it's good that the president did not give him anything for the little that he was proposing.
And what happens next may largely be determined by North Korea's behavior and whether Kim continues to refrain from nuclear and missile tests. In Washington, Doug Luzader, Fox News.
Thank you, Doug. You're looking at our ultimate Doppler radar. As snow starts to move out of the area, snow began falling shortly after midnight last night and dropped several inches of snow in parts of the area. Western parts of the area, like Lancaster, were expected to see around 4 inches of snow, while the I-95 corridor was expected to see more of 1 to 3 inches. And areas to the south and east were expected to see about a coating to an inch. Tesla's Model 3 is finally up for sale, and the Gap announcing plans to close hundreds of stores. Fox Business Network's Tracy Carrasco has more in today's Morning Business Outlook.
Despite a down day on Thursday, all three major averages soared 3% or better for the month of February, the best start to a year since 1987. Elon Musk says Tesla's long-awaited Model 3 has finally arrived. After years of delays, the Model 3 is ready for purchase at $35,000. But to reach that price, Tesla is closing dealerships and shifting sales exclusively online. The Model 3 is supposed to help Tesla become more mainstream. Gap and its Old Navy brand are going their separate ways. Gap will spin off Old Navy as a standalone company. Old Navy currently brings in about $8 billion in annual revenue. Gap plans to close about 230 stores over the next 2 years. For more, log on to foxbusiness.com. In New York, I'm Tracy Carrasco.
In North Philly, 4 men are accused of robbing a woman at gunpoint and then leading police on a chase before crashing into an SUV and a church. This morning, police are still searching for one of those men, and a woman is in the hospital. It happened just before 9 last night on North 7th Street. The 4 suspects got away in a black car. Highway Patrol then spotted the car, which led to the chase. Police say the car eventually went through a red light where an SUV crashed into it, sending the car into a church. A woman who was sitting on the front steps of the church was then taken to the hospital for injuries. Here's what police had to say about the incident.
In the vehicle is a weapon that has been identified by the complainant, the person that was robbed, as the gun that fit the description of the gun that was pointed at her and when she was robbed. And we're looking now for other evidence in the car. The car did catch fire, so we're dealing with what we have left of the evidence. But a gun is in the car, has been identified, and there has been 3 of the 4 individuals have been arrested from that vehicle.
The people in both cars sustained minor injuries. It is unclear how bad the woman sitting on the church steps was hurt. And as we said, a suspect is still at large. Family and friends gathered to mourn a Bucks County family. A makeshift memorial was set up outside the Mooresville apartment where 5 family members were killed by relatives, according to the Bucks County District Attorney's Office. In the crowd was the half-sister of murdered 9-year-old twin sisters Erica and Imani Allen. Most of those who attended the memorial were students from Mooresville Middle School, where a 13-year-old Damon Decree had attended.
I noticed, like a week before he was taken out of school, like a couple weeks before that, he was really happy or whatever, and he was just doing his normal thing. But like a week before he left, it was just like he wouldn't talk to us as much, and he seemed a lot sadder.
Police say Damon, his older sister, and her twin daughters were killed by Shayna and Dominique Decree. A mother missing since last weekend after celebrating her birthday in Boston was found in the trunk of a car in Delaware. The suspect was captured by police in Newcastle yesterday. Boston police tweeted that 32-year-old Lewis Coleman III was found and arrested in Delaware, and that a body was found. He was pulled over after a chase in the area of Churchman's Road and I-95. The family of 23-year-old Jassy Correa confirms the body is hers. She leaves behind a 2-year-old daughter. We will now go ahead and take you back out to National Harbor, Maryland, where the day 2 of CPAC is continuing.
Crazed assault from the left, more unhinged than anything we have seen. Now, there's also the good news. If we turn common sense conservatives out, we can win.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ted Cruz, thank you very much.
WOW is a blockchain project which aims to design an ecosystem
While we wait for the next speaker at CPAC, it's time for some teas. You've been sending your best Bryce Harper slogans to Good Day Philadelphia all morning, and we're finally going to put them on some shirts. Karen Hepp was live at Rush Order Tea in Northeast Philadelphia this morning.
You're listening to the harp stylings of one Therese Hurley, a Philadelphia Phillies fan. And she's not a harpist today, she's a harper in honor of Bryce. Now, let's put up the poster again of the beer. Now, I love this beer company. They move fast.
They were on it. Well, we've been talking about this for months, so there's always a chance.
Here's the thing. Maybe he is going to play right field, so maybe it should be the Bryce in right?
This was our debate. But then I like because it's a Price is Right theme, and you have the colors and the font.
Yeah.
But you're right. Technically, it'd be the Bryce and Right.
No, but this is good too because
this has a ring to it.
Yeah, he has a history-making money contract and all that.
Oh yeah.
All right, so let's get some of these phrases on T-shirts. What do you say?
Because our viewers are still sending them in, Karen, and Rush Order Teas is rushing to make them.
You got it. These are the ones that they make, one at a time. So my ideas were Holy Harper, hooray for Harper. You heard my home run Harper. This is one of my favorites. So George, let me show you over here. This is where our designer, my buddy Joe over here, you talk about the beard. I love the beard thing. So this is the design that we're making right now for Bryce. Right there with the beard. So that's the upside down image, and then it's going through the printer right now. That's what's being steamed. Here it is as they're laying it all down. I think it's so cool because they design it, and then seconds later we see it right there. Oh, it's neat because you can see them filling in the red on the Phillies cap right there. So they print it all here, and then once it's done, they put it over. What's this thing called, Joe?
Oh, this is a pallet.
Yeah, on that.
Pallet.
And that thing. And then where does it go after here? Now this one's done. Where do we throw it next?
So we pull this and we lift it off. Put it down on the belt.
So this is the dryer machine thing.
Yes. This is the dryer. So this is a faster belt. So anything that has underbase won't go in this, because on a white shirt it doesn't need an underbase because of the color. So this is typically a slower belt, and this is a quick belt.
So what would you like to see on your Bryce Harper T-shirt? What are your favorite designs?
Bryce is right. I thought that was like a cool slogan. I thought that would work because, of course, well, since Bryce rather than Price, and we paid a good price for him.
Heck yeah, we did, but it seems like a bargain. We're so excited for the season right now. All right, so they're busy making their T-shirts here at Rush Order. Tracy can tease. You can keep your ideas coming for what slogans we should be putting on the T-shirt.
So
Mike
Karen,
and Alex,
are they making the Bryce's
yeah.
Right shirt? Are they going to make it then, or no?
We'll get on that. We're going to get on that. It's still early.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Also,
yeah, they can use it.
I really like Bryce yourself. So I've been sending you some ideas from our viewers. So make sure you check your phone, because they're really coming in with some great ones.
Well, let me understand that. What does that mean, brace yourself? I know it's
like brace yourself.
Brace yourself, but brace yourself because all the home runs he's going to hit?
Yeah, brace yourself. The Phillies are about to be amazing this season.
I like it.
Oh, okay. Well, we have some other ones. Bryce Aroni, the Philadelphia treat. Bryce is nice. Yeah, there's all kinds of ones from our viewers. They're doing. Should I say that one, or is that all right?
No, let's wait on that.
Okay. As cold as Bryce. I like that
that's
one.
Good. Nice Bryce.
I don't know if that works.
Well, I can embrace all of those.
This morning we are awaiting Vice President Mike Pence to speak at the Conservative Political Action Conference in National Harbor, Maryland. We'll take you out there in a few minutes as we await his appearance.
Information in order to pass it back to the United States government. Was he doing those three things? That was fun, huh? All right, that puts me in a good mood. Do you even know that's going on your television sets? I don't know. Are you watching any of that? I mean, we are so overjoyed that you all are here. Would you just look around this room, standing room only, once again? And you know, we're making history right here, right now. As you've seen, we have 3 satellite CPAC sites in Colorado, in California, and in Virginia, because this room is simply not big enough to hold all the people that want to be part of this movement. We have millions of people around the globe who are watching us at this very moment, where, for the first time ever, both a president and a vice president come to CPAC in 3 consecutive years to thank all of you. And why is that? It's really not a secret. You're the heart and soul of this movement. And you all know Mike Pence. In Mike Pence, we have a steady, tested, and committed vice president. Long before Donald Trump saw his value and experience, we all knew his true character. His commitment to conservative principles earned him a nearly perfect congressional voting record with the American Conservative Union. He's a man of deep faith, committed to his family. He's always been in our corner, and we are proud to have his back. And that commitment extends to his exceptional wife, Karen Pence. And we're honored to have her join her husband here today. She's a mom, she's a wife, and she's a teacher, and we love our second lady. Now, I'm going to do a small commercial. I hope you've all gotten a copy of our most recent book, Reagan at CPAC. And in that book, the Vice President authors a chapter. The Vice President writes that it was Ronald Reagan who first brought me into the conservative movement 40 years ago. Ronald Reagan is still making an impact on people today. The Vice President goes on to say in this chapter that the smart set in Washington mocked and dismissed Reagan. I guess Reagan might have been the first deplorable. I have to say that I literally thank God that when America's purpose and future hangs in the balance, we have bold leaders like our Vice President. And he honors all of us with his presence. So at this moment, I get the privilege to introduce to you the Vice President of the United States, Mike Pence, and Karen Pence.
Well, thank you, Matt, and hello, CPAC. It is great for us to be back at CPAC 2019, the largest gathering of conservatives anywhere in America. Thanks for coming out. And I'm honored to be joined here by thousands of conservatives in our nation's capital, but I also want to give a shout out to all those great conservatives watching across this country, especially all of our friends joining us live from Lynchburg, Virginia at Liberty University. I'll see you in May. And to all of them and to all of you, I bring greetings from a friend of mine. A man who restored American leadership at home and abroad, and a man who can't wait to be with you tomorrow. I bring greetings from the 45th President of the United States of America, President Donald Trump. You know, it's the greatest honor of my life to serve as Vice President to a president who gets up every day and fights to keep the promises that he made to the American people. I mean, think about it. This president promised to get this economy moving again. And working with Republican majorities in the Congress, in our first 2 years, President Trump has cut more federal red tape than any president in American history. We've unleashed American energy, and now the United States is the largest producer of oil and natural gas in the world. Under the President's strong leadership, we've forged new trade deals that finally put American jobs and American workers first, and with the support of this generation of conservatives, President Trump signed the largest tax cut and tax reform in American history. That's promises made and promises kept. We cut taxes across the board for working Americans, for American businesses. And we cut out the core of Obamacare. The individual mandate is gone. And the results have been amazing. As I stand before you today, the American economy is booming. In just over 2 years, businesses large and small have created 5.3 million new jobs, including over 480,000 good-paying manufacturing jobs that the other side said would never come back. Unemployment has hit a 50-year low, and more Americans are working today than ever before in the history of this country. The unemployment rate for women has hit a 55-year low, and the unemployment rate for Asian Americans, Hispanic Americans, and African Americans has reached the lowest level ever recorded in American history. And the wages of working Americans are rising at a faster pace than they have in more than a decade. Under President Donald Trump, working Americans are winning again. The forgotten men and women of America are forgotten no more. Everywhere you look, confidence is back. Jobs are coming back. In a word, America is back, and we're just getting started. But for all the progress we've made, President Trump has no higher priority than the safety and security of the American people. And from the first days of this administration, this president has worked to make the strongest military in the history of the world stronger still. And last year, President Trump signed the largest investment in our national defense since the days of Ronald Reagan. We're modernizing our nuclear arsenal, updating missile defense, and before the year is out, President Trump will launch the 6th branch of our armed forces, the United States Space Force. Under this Commander-in-Chief, we'll make sure that America is as dominant in space as we are on land and air and sea. So we're rebuilding our military. We're restoring the arsenal of democracy. And we're once again giving our soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guard the resources they need to accomplish their mission and come home safe. And we're also standing with our veterans and all the men and women who have worn the uniform of the United States, and we restored accountability to the VA. We're finally giving our heroes access to the world-class health care that they earned in the uniform of the United States. Veterans' choice is here. And in this administration, we're also standing every day with the brave men and women of law enforcement. And we've been giving all those who stand on the thin blue line the resources and the respect that they deserve every single day. And that includes the courageous men and women of Customs and Border Protection who put their lives on the line every single day. Under this president and this administration, we will never abolish ICE. You know, as the president has said many times, if you don't have a border, you don't have a country. And since day one of our administration, we've been working to remove dangerous criminals from our streets in record numbers, enforcing our immigration laws and working to secure our border. And we've already started to build that wall. And I'll make you a promise. Before we're done, we're going to build it all. Oh, we're building it. As the president often says, don't worry about it. Make no mistake about it, folks. No matter what you hear from the Democrats and their allies in the media, We have a crisis at our southern border. And it's like nothing we've ever seen before. For the first time ever, the majority of illegal immigrants coming into our country are unaccompanied minors and families. Families that are being exploited by drug cartels and human traffickers, encouraging them to make the long and dangerous journey north at a great financial price and often at a great price to themselves and their safety and well-being. You know, when President Obama in 2014 said we had a humanitarian crisis at our southern border, 120,000 minors and families crossed our border illegally. Last year, there were 145,000. And in the last 4 months alone, more than 120,000 unaccompanied minors and families have been apprehended at our southern border. Now, Democrats want to say it's a manufactured crisis, but the only thing that's manufactured is their outrage. Every day we don't secure our border, we're allowing the crisis to worsen, more lives to be endangered, more people to be exploited, and more drugs to flow into our country. That's why President Trump used his authority under the law to declare a national emergency on our southern border. But now Democrats are trying to stop the president from exercising the authority that the Congress gave him to address this real crisis. So today, we call on every member of Congress, stand up for border security, stop playing politics with the security of the American people, and stand with President Trump for a stronger and safer America. With his renewed commitment to law and order, this president's also been busy seeing to our judicial branch. President Trump has appointed more men and women to our federal courts in the last 2 years than any administration in American history, and they are all conservatives like Justice Neil Gorsuch and Justice Brett Kavanaugh. And they're conservatives who will uphold all the God-given liberties enshrined in our Constitution, like the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, and the Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. You know, the freedom of religion is not just enshrined in our Constitution. It's enshrined in the hearts of the American people. But make no mistake about it, freedom of religion is under attack in our country. Lately, it's actually become fashionable for media elites and Hollywood liberals to mock religious belief. My own family recently came under attack just because my wife Karen went back to teach art to children at a Christian school. Let me say before all of you, I couldn't be more proud of my wife. She's a Marine Corps mom. She's a great school teacher, and Karen Pence is a great second lady for the United States of America. But let me be clear on this point. This is not about us. It's about all of you. It's about the sincerely held belief of millions of Americans who cherish their Christian faith and Christian education. And so I'll make you a promise. Under this president and this administration, we will always stand with people of faith. We will always defend the freedom of religion of every American of every faith. So help us God. And as we reflect on our God-given liberties, I got to tell you, I couldn't be more proud to serve as vice president to the most pro-life president in American history. Since the first days of this administration, President Donald Trump has stood without apology for the sanctity of human life. In one of his very first acts, the president reinstated the Mexico City policy preventing taxpayer dollars from funding abortion or abortion providers around the world. And here at home, President Trump signed a law to allow all 50 states to defund Planned Parenthood. Life is winning in America once again. But for all the progress we're making, tragically, at the very moment that more Americans than ever before are embracing the right to life, leading members of the Democratic Party are embracing a radical agenda of abortion on demand. In state legislatures across the country, Democrats have endorsed late-term abortion. The Democrat governor of Virginia openly defends infanticide. And just 4 short days ago, Democrats in the Senate, including every Democratic senator running for president, voted against a bill that would prevent newborn babies who survived failed abortions from being killed. You know, I've long believed that a society can be judged by how it deals with its most vulnerable. The aged, the infirm, the disabled, and the unborn. With Democrats standing for late-term abortion, infanticide, and a culture of death, I promise you, this president, this party, and this movement will always stand for the unborn. We will always defend the inalienable right to life. So we've restored American strength and security at home. And we're doing the same thing around the world. And today, under the leadership of President Trump, the United States of America is once again standing proudly as leader of the free world. Like when this president kept his promise to our most cherished ally and moved the American embassy to Jerusalem, the capital of the state of Israel. So we've stood with our allies, and we've stood up to our enemies. We've taken the fight to radical Islamic terrorists on our terms, on their soil. In Iraq and Syria, thanks to the courage of our armed forces and our coalition partners, the ISIS caliphate has been decimated, and our troops have liberated 5 million men, women, and children. to see the extraordinary progress they've made in liberating millions from the vicious grip of ISIS. I say with conviction again what has been said throughout history. The armed forces of the United States are the greatest force for good in the history of the world. At this very hour, along the Euphrates River, the last mile of territory where the black flag of ISIS once flew is being captured. And in the wake of these gains, President Trump has announced that the United States will begin to hand the fight off to our partner and bring our troops home. But be assured of this, we will keep a strong presence in the region. We will get our allies to do more in the fight against ISIS, and together we will hunt down and destroy the remnants of ISIS wherever and whenever they rear their ugly head, so they can never threaten our people or our allies again. And with that strong leadership on the world stage, President Trump has also confronted the greatest threat to peace and security in the Middle East when he withdrew the United States of America from the disastrous Iran nuclear deal. The Islamic Republic of Iran is the leading state sponsor of terrorism in the world. Iran supports terrorist proxies, fuels conflicts in the region, plots terrorist attacks on European soil, and openly advocates the destruction of the State of Israel. 2 weeks ago, Karen and I stood and prayed at the Auschwitz-Birkenau Nazi death camp in Poland. The history of that time must never be forgotten. We mourn with those who mourn and grieve with those who grieve. But we say from our heart, never again. As we stood in that place, I thought, when authoritarian regimes breathe out vile anti-Semitic hatred and threats of violence, history teaches we must take them at their word. Anti-Semitism is not just wrong, it's evil. Anti-Semitism must be confronted wherever and whenever it arises, and it must be universally condemned. The Iranian regime openly advocates another Holocaust and seeks the means to achieve it. But I can assure you, under President Donald Trump's leadership, America will continue to stand strong. We will continue to oppose Iran, its malign influence, and I promise you, under this president, America will never allow Iran to obtain a nuclear weapon. So as the world has witnessed over the last 2 years, under this president, the United States will continue to seek every opportunity to achieve peace, even as we stand strong on the world stage. We'll approach every challenge with our eyes wide open. President Trump deals with the world as it is, not as we wish it would be. And the truth is that effort for peace been nowhere more evident than in the progress that we've made in the Indo-Pacific over the last 2 years. It's remarkable to think that when I stood at this podium 2 years ago, North Korea was engaged in regular nuclear tests, launching missiles over Japan, threatening President Trump rallied the world around an unprecedented and the world. No more missiles being fired.